you're going to have to stay here. And I'm not kidding. You're not only a police officer, but you've also given yourself to another wonderful group, the Board of Directors of Survivors of Suicide Loss. Could you tell us about that wonderful organization?
Yeah, Fresno Survivors of Suicide Loss is a peer support group. It's made up of family members of persons who have committed suicide. So it allows for those people who are suffering from the loss and the grief of losing a loved one to have a support group to help. Others that have experienced the same thing can share thoughts and give them hope. And we have meetings at Hope Lutheran Church at Fresno and Barstow on the third Tuesday of every month from 7 to 9 o'clock. So anybody who has suffered from a suicide in their family or a close friend, they're encouraged and welcome to come to the support group meetings. They're led by survivors, so that it's a very warm and welcoming atmosphere.
Now, is this the group also that many years ago Dick and Sandy Gallagher?
Yeah, it was started in 1985 by Dick and Sandy Gallagher. They lost their son David in 1984. And I lost actually my roommate in 1986 when I was 21. And his name was John. And at that time there really were no resources. You know, I was a young man that I was in the police academy, so I was, you know, forging a career path, and it had a major impact on my life.
Sure.
And that's really one of the reasons that I'm involved in this line of help, is because I've experienced it, and if there's anything I can do to help others in the similar situation, then that's why I'm here.
Thank you for sharing that. We're going to be taking our break, and we'll come back and have Victoria be able to share her story. But I do want to say that we're going to be posting on our website that meeting at Hope Lutheran, because it would be a monthly chance for people to actually get involved in a ministry well worth the investment of the small time it may take. We'll take our break. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to our second half of our program on suicide prevention, seeing the signs, healing, helping, being involved. What I'd like to do is have Victoria Velasquez begin our second half of the program by watching with us a clip that we're going to show that's going to give us an idea of one person's story, and then Victoria is going to be able to share immediately her own story, which may have some real impact to us as a second version of the story that we're going to see in our clip. Please pay attention.
There's a lot of things that happen in your life that you can't choose. But the one thing that can never be taken away from you is your ability to choose how to respond. My name's Terry Wise, and I travel around the country, and I do a lot of public speaking on mental health topics. I'll tell you about it in a few minutes. So there was a lot of things brewing at the time. On Christmas morning of the year 2000, I swallowed 200 Percocets and 60 doses of morphine with a pint of gin. like life was an endurance test for me. And making it to the next day, and to the next day, and to the next day was truly, it was just a fight for survival. I was home from the hospital, and nobody knew what I had just gone through. So I was alone before the attempt, and now I was really alone. Well, I had been seeing Dr. Glazer. I went to her office with the hope that maybe there was some way she could help me tolerate being alive.
I think the key thing was not something specific I said, but I truly believed that together we could do the work and she could get better.
When you get to that point, you feel so worthless. And, excuse me, to have someone believe in you that much. Suicide doesn't stand alone. It doesn't just happen as the result of nothing out of nowhere. It's the result of something. If you've gone through your life and you've had traumas, or you've had difficulties, or you've had things that you think you've buried, and then you have a significant loss or significant trauma occur later in your life, as I did with my husband dying, all of the things that have been on simmer in your life come to a full boil. Suicide for me had become almost like a coping mechanism. And I learned in therapy that death wasn't the only way to end my pain. There were other ways to end my pain besides death. And one of them was developing coping skills and learning how to manage my feelings in a different way, which I did. There's one thing that everybody can do, and that is that they can always reach out for help. There's always somebody there that will offer support. Everybody's in a position to reach out for help and get support and not be alone with how they're feeling.
Victoria, having seen Terry Wise's story, did you want to share parts of your own with us?
Yeah. My life has been filled with a lot of trauma, abuse, destructive behavior, self-destructive behavior, and I was always in a state of chaos and darkness, and I couldn't seem to get out of it. And it seemed like no matter where I turned or what I did, nothing helped it. My first attempt, I was with my ex-boyfriend. He was very abusive. He messed me up a lot, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. And the only way that I felt I could get away from him is if I was dead. And that was my first attempt. Seeing how much pain I caused my loved ones and how much suffering I did really destroyed me, and I was like, why did I even do that? I mean, there's so many things that I could have done, but when you're in a moment and it's like you can't see anything, you can't see the light, you're just completely tunnel vision, you don't care at all. You just want the pain to end, and that's where I was, sorry. I'm getting choked up. That's where I was. My second attempt was another relationship, and I thought he was like my soulmate, we're gonna get married and all of that good stuff. We started living together, and he started doing drugs, and it got really, really bad. And it was that sense of, I'm alone, there's nobody here, I don't know what I should do, and I was ashamed to tell, people what was going on, tell people that I wanted to hurt myself because it was like I was hopeless. I didn't know where to turn to. And it's like, it feels like something inside of you just snap. Something lets go and you can't be rational. You're just completely into your pain. After that, I started going to Blue Sky, and I was there as a consumer. I started going to support groups and really learning coping skills, learning how to deal with my mental illness, and learning how to deal with suicide. And I've grown a lot from that. Plus, I have a really good support system, and they've helped me
That's good.
a lot. And after all of that, I gotten really close to God, and He's always telling me, like, I saved you, and you can't be dead yet, and I have so many wonderful plans for you.
So glad. Victoria, what if there had been a hotline back then? What difference could that have made for you?
It would have made a major difference because the second time that it happened, I was so ashamed to tell anybody. And it's like, I didn't want people to be like, oh my gosh, like, you're gonna kill yourself, like, we have to take you to the hospital, we have to call the cops. It's really scary going through those situations, You're dealing with, police, you're dealing with your family, and then it's like you have to go to the hospital. It's a really not a good process. And if I think we had something like that, I could have talked to somebody who would know exactly what I was going through, and it would have been anonymous.
A final thought, Victoria, what advice, you who could give the best advice because it's real and it's personal, what advice for someone watching perhaps who may have suicidal thoughts or knowing someone who could be suicidal?
It's not worth it. Nothing about it is worth it. You destroy people's hearts and souls the moment that you decide to do that. Everybody reaches that point of sadness and feeling worthless, but you have to be like, no, like, this is just emotions, and this is gonna pass, and I have tomorrow, I have the next day, and there's so many different programs that can help you through it. I mean, there's Blue Sky Wellness Center, which is an amazing program. There is also this new program we're having. There's so many different resources that people don't know about. And just reaching out and being like, look, like, this is how I'm feeling. Nobody's going to condemn you or, be rude to you or hurt you because you feel this way. And it's just, you have to keep going because you don't know what can be in your future. You don't know if you meet the love of your life. You don't know if you're going to, change the world or do something amazing. And it's trying to keep that hope alive and trying to really be like, I need to keep going.
Unfortunately, we have to keep going on this program and say goodbye. I want to thank Marissa and Brian, and especially Victoria, for sharing their commitment to an issue that impacts all of us. I think each one of us knows in ourselves the darkest spot. And we also know a lot of other people who might have a darker, even more dark spot. Let's be aware of that, and let's do something about it. We'll be posting on our website all the numbers and all the websites for you to be able to address this issue. But I do mostly want to thank our guests for the work that they're doing, not just on this one program, of course, but for doing the work day by day to help all of us deal with the darkest moments in our lives. God bless.